Also known as the Eight Immortal Restaurant Murders. These murders took place in August 1985 in Macau, Hong Kong. A gambler named Wang Ziheng murdered a family of 10 in their restaurant. As some of you may already have an inkling, it was because the family had refused to pay a gambling debt. Was justice served? Let's find out. Huang Ziheng, the perpetrator in this story, was born in mainland China before he immigrated to Hong Kong in the 70s. Apparently, Huang Ziheng was also involved in a dispute with an unnamed man in Hong Kong that resulted in the man's death. Guilty of murder, Huang later fled for Guangzhou in southern China, and after a few years of living in Guangzhou, Huang married his landlord's daughter. The couple was then forced to elope as the woman's family disapproved of Huang. However, before leaving, Huang burned off his own fingertips in order to avoid being tied to the murder in Hong Kong. Huang Ziheng met his future victims when he entered the gambling scene in Macau. Cheng Lin and his wife were noted to be heavy gamblers. They did, however, own the Eight Immortals restaurant, a restaurant that was connected to the Eight Immortals Hotel. Cheng Lin had humble beginnings. He used to be a street vendor who later moved his business into an establishment in the 60s, which then became a financial success. He lived near the restaurant with his entire family and they assisted him in running the business. Huang Ziheng and Cheng Lin met during a series of high-stakes bets against each other in 1984, which resulted to Huang winning 180,000 yuan from the Cheng couple. Ultimately, the Chengs were unable to pay the debt. This problem was resolved with a verbal agreement that the Cheng couple would give up their restaurant to Huang if they weren't able to pay the debt in a year. Unfortunately, a year passed and the Chengs were still unable to repay their debt, and according to Huang, their debt only continued to pile up as they kept losing to him. At the end, in total, Huang claims that the couple owed him some 600,000 yuan. The actual murders happened during the night of August 4th in 1984. Past closing time, 9 members of the Cheng family, including the Cheng couple, were busy cleaning the restaurant and preparing for next day's business. During this time, Huang entered the restaurant and demanded that the Chengs pay him 20,000 yen, 10,000 less of what he was originally asking for, as only a part of the total 600,000 yuan that they owed him. Huang grew agitated when Cheng Lin not only refused to pay, but also refused to turn over the restaurant just he had promised. Huang Ziheng ultimately grew aggressive and later broke a beer bottle, using the sharp glass that remained as a weapon. He then took the couple's son as hostage and forced the family to tie and gag each other up while he held the weapon against the neck of the couple's son. During this, one of the family members broke free and started to scream for help, which further agitated Huang. As a result, he stabbed her in the neck with a jagged beer bottle. He then proceeded to either strangle or stab all the remaining 9 members of the family with this makeshift weapon. After this, knowing that Cheng Lin still had another sister who wasn't with them, Huang stepped out of the restaurant to lure her in. He succeeded in doing so and later killed her as well. Then he proceeded to dismember the bodies in 8 hours, which he later wrapped in black plastic trash bags. Then he disposed of this either by throwing them into the ocean or into the dumpsters. After all of this, he recovered cash and a safe key from Cheng Lin's dead body. He then closed the restaurant, left a note at the door that announced a 3-day closure to the customers and the suppliers. The following morning, a delivery truck driver found the restaurant closed and read the note. He then walked to the family's home where Huang Ziheng was. When questioned where the family was, Huang told the delivery man that the family had left for a trip to the mainland. After 3 days, Huang reopened the restaurant and managed it all on his own. Over a year later, on August 8th in 1985, a swimmer found 8 pieces of human limbs, including 4 right hands, at Haksa, a nearby beach. It was originally suspected that either smugglers were involved or a shark somehow had attacked swimmers. However, during an examination, both theories were proved to be wrong. It was found that the limbs were cut precisely suggesting that they had been severed. This prompted a police investigation and a search for missing persons that the limbs may belong to. that a whole family was missing as reported by relatives, police discovered that the limbs belonged to the Cheng family. They did find it unusual that Huang was running the business, but couldn't exactly pin the blame on him, as everyone knew that he was associated with the family after all. Aside from running the restaurant, Huang also started to collect rent from the family's home. The police did, however, start getting suspicious of Huang's activities. They started to search his bank holdings, where they found documents that belonged to Cheng Lin and the student ID cards of the couple's children. Once again, Huang planned an escape path to mainland China, but he was caught and arrested on 28th of September in 1986. Shortly after, he was convicted and charged with the murder of all 10 members of the Cheng family on the 2nd of October 1986. After his conviction, Huang got involved in a fight with another inmate with only a day of being in prison. He was sent to hospital to recover, where he attempted another escape but failed. On the 6th of October of the same year, he confessed to the murders and went on to tell investigators how he had killed each member in detail. While in prison, Huang attempted suicide twice, succeeding on his second try on December 4th of the same year, where he slit his wrists using a trash can lid. In his suicide note, Huang said that his suicide was not his acceptance of his sin, but was rather a way to escape his chronic asthma. Though Huang never confessed to having an accomplice, police do believe that he might have had someone to help him. He was 50 years old after all, when he allegedly took hostage and killed 10 people. There is an urban legend that says that Huang used the Cheng family's human meat in place of pork meat in the restaurant's signature pork buns and served them to clueless customers.